Hello, everybody. Jacque Howard here, and welcome to the Trenton 365 show. And yeah, this is a little bit different. I'm not in the studio of WIMG and coming through WPHY, but I am at my home studio, technically outside. Shout out to my family, Vanessa and son DJ, Dawson Jagger. But we're out here in my garden. I just wanted to celebrate the sunshine busting through like it has as it ends March and we get ready to get into April. Now, with that being said, many of you know I'm passionate about, trying to take care of our bodies and so to speak. With that being said, I'm encouraging more people to grow stuff, whatever it is, man. If you like tomatoes, grow tomatoes. If you want to try something else, try that. Whatever it is, just grow something. And to do that, I am partnering with the Isles organization, and we're going to be creating a very awesome way to give away baskets with vegetables or fruits combined in them with all the supplies that you need. And don't worry if you don't have land to put it in. These baskets will be perfect for you. All you have to do is plant them and water them and reap the harvest. So make sure you check that out. Trenton 365 with the Isles organization on that community project. Also want to give a shout out to Enokin Fitness, my longtime friend, Nacone Martin. Nacone is getting into another endeavor. Most of you know, she's a personal trainer and has been training for decades. She is now going to be doing a competition based upon training, and I encourage you to check her out. And her name is Nacone Martin, and it's Enokin Fitness is the Facebook page and social media site where you can get all that information. And I want you to also make sure you go over to black-cannabis.com. I know you've been hearing me talk a lot about cannabis lately, and I want you to all know that this is a wonderful opportunity for us to have some wonderful conversations, those hard conversations, those difficult conversations across the table or the video screen around this wonderful plant that is something which is a gift from God, so to speak, which grows indigenous around the world. There's an amazing opportunity for an economy to be built upon this, and also secondary and tertiary marketplaces for those who don't want to get into the plant touching side of it. Now, I know there are folks in the faith community who have questions about this, and you're the ones who I really want to chat with. I'm assembling a group of pastors and imams and representatives of lots of different faiths to come together. We're the rabbis, we're the Sikh leaders, and let's talk about cannabis and how it is an indigenous plant, how it has affected this community and other communities in the war on drugs, and how does the faith community address that? How can you be supportive of something such as social justice, but not address what has caused so much of the social injustices? But there are things that we're going to be talking about later. Today, or should I say this evening, I'm going to be chatting with my friend, Brad Mays. Now, many of you have met Brad when he came into the studio a few years back with Joe Houlihan. And Joe Houlihan was representing not only Mercer Street Friends, but also as a filmmaker, this idea of capturing what was going on in Trenton in relation to some nonprofit work as well. So I met Brad then, and shortly thereafter, Brad, the film that he's done with Joe Houlihan, Two Trentons, it kind of culminated with what took place at Artworks Trenton, the Art All Night event. And that's caused some controversy in the art community, as something like that traditionally can or should when there's loss of life and something like that happens. But Brad has done a wonderful job of capturing that, having conversations with many of the people who represent the arts community, as well as not only the arts community, but also the city of Trenton, etc. So what we're going to be doing now is bringing Brad Mays in. Welcome, friend.
Hello.
I'm just doing a little, I'm playing with the settings because I'm outside in the shadows and so forth. And I don't have with me right now today a filmmaker of your sorts to say, Jacque, that's not the best space for you to set up at the start of the interview. That's probably the best space to set up expecting the sun. But that's why I love spending time with the creatives like you. Now, back to my intro. You heard me mentioning Two Trentons and how we connected with Joe Houlihan. I'd like for you to take over from there and talk about your recollection of us meeting back then.
Okay, well, the first time I think was the studio. I was in the back and I had one camera on you and one camera on Joe and then another camera on both of you. And I met your guy, your technician in the background. So he was doing his thing and I was trying to basically tell the story of the interview, trying to get everything you said and everything Joe said as well as I could. It was a lot of fun. I remember I went in there and there was just everybody at the studio was so incredibly friendly. It was really nice. So then after that, I think I interviewed you right outside Mercer Street Friends. Outside, you did a sort of a talk, right? And that went really well. And then I think Joe came back and talked to you again by himself. And eventually I had another interview with you at the studio, my first one. And after that, that was right before the film played I think it was the Trenton Film Festival at Rutgers. And that was the first festival. Then came COVID, and I really wasn't sure whether or not the film was going to have any life after that. But as it turns out, it does. And one of the nicest thing that happened was last August, I received a note from one of the key people at the New York City Independent Film Festival, who said, "See, I make documentaries the old-fashioned way, you know," and I think that he was locking on to that. He said, "It's really nice to see a film done this way," and so I just want to tell you that we're very enthusiastic about it, and we're going to champion it. No promises, but we think it'll probably be accepted, and so on. And so he left it at that. And then a couple of weeks ago, they announced that the film was in fact selected. And there is, I shouldn't say this, there's a little bit of buzz about possible awards. We did get an honorable mention award at the Trenton Film Festival. And of course, it just played the Garden State Film Festival this past weekend, which was not exactly to my liking. I think I can say that. They had some massive technical breakdowns, and they crawled into a rabbit hole and didn't talk to the filmmakers about that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, Two Trentons is doing well. And I think we're looking at, I think that it's going to get sold. I think that it's going to be distributed. I feel very confident about it. Yeah.
And I want you to address some of the folks who may consider the film Two Trentons to be controversial in some aspects. And I think I alluded into that a bit earlier, was, when something tragic happens, the proper thing is to tell both sides of the story. And I know oftentimes even people who feel as though they're doing the right thing, they may be doing the wrong thing by not wanting it to be equal. You know what I mean? Like telling the truth. Just being honest, regardless of who did it.
You want me to just tell it straight? You want me to?
Straight, no chaser.
Okay. You know how I feel about this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just say it. Yeah, look, I spent 2 years on that filming. I mean, 2 years going into people's houses, following people around, talking to the folks, and learning humility, learning deep humility as a man, as an artist. You know how I felt about doing that. There was no I'm the filmmaker and I'm going to interpret these people's lives. No, none of that. They shared their lives with me, and I was honored to receive that sharing. And the further I got into the piece, the deeper my sense of humility and my sense of honor for them trusting me this way. So 2 years on this. And then one morning I get a phone call from a good friend of mine in Princeton who says, "Brad, are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And I had just been at the Art All Night thing that earlier. She said, "Well, there was a shooting at Art All Night." I said, "All right, I'm going." I said, "Goodbye," grabbed the camera. We got into the car. We drove to the, we managed to get the, what was it? The press release, the press conference there. And then I started going to work, and I said, "Well, the film isn't over." I mean, the night before was actually the last day of shooting. So I thought, there's no way this film can be over now, because we just had a shooting at Art All Night. So the first person I called was you. I said, I didn't know what else to do. I said, listen, man, I can't stop now. Can we do something? And you said, yeah, we'll figure it out. We wound up having that video thing with those really cool cats from the arts community in Trenton. But I also went back and wanted to film the guys at Artworks and Artworks Trenton. And they were not exactly enthusiastic about talking to me, even though, a couple of months had passed after that. And finally, he said, okay, let's just do it. Let's just do the interview. And I went in there with Joe, and I had the cameras and everything was ready to go. And he said, no, we've changed our minds. And he said, we don't want you, we don't want any of the interviews you took to be in the film that you've already taken. We don't want to be in the film at all. And I said, well, why? I mean, were you hiding? I mean, I'm not trying to make you look bad. If anything, I'm trying to talk about the resilience of artists in Trenton and the, coming back and bouncing back from adversity. He goes, well, I don't know that that's what you're going to do. So
I want to stop you right there, Brad, because that crosses so many lines, right? When I say crosses lines, not in a bad way, so please don't take this literal. Listen to what I'm saying. With that being said, you are a filmmaker, and the best filmmakers tell the truth or tell a clear interpretation of what they believe is the truth. When you have a tragic event happens, all of the content that comes in, just because you don't like it, doesn't mean you can't use it or you can't learn from that. And I think that that's where we get to that whole conversation about politics and how, look, if we're going to talk about straight no chaser, we're just going to talk about the issues, what's right, what's wrong, according to the rules that all the humans have decided on. If we're going to do that, then the color of that person's skin doesn't matter. The political party doesn't matter. And don't let me get started on them. Just, hey, they're elected to do a job, so we shouldn't be kissing any politicians' butts, in my opinion. Right. But I think you did a good job of navigating a difficult time, keeping this alive, which I remember us talking about how it was going to be important going forward, that this isn't a one-shot thing. Trenton has seen all of those white saviors come through with an idea and a concept, and they're gone. If you sit down with these people and talk to them and you do that, you're going to be right in that category as well. And I want to say that I think that you did a fine job of getting a mix and a diverse group of Trentonians. And when I say that, different demographics, I'm talking different economic statuses, different age groups. And I think that was good as well. I want to make sure that we hit some of the things that we definitely said we were going to cover. I want to make sure that we cover your play. But before we do that, you had mentioned something about an honor. And there's another honor that I've heard whispering, blowing through in the wind, that some work that you've done in the past may be getting recognized. So could you elaborate on that, friend?
Sure. The last play I ever directed was a multimedia production that I adapted from the book A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. Now, Stanley Kubrick is my favorite filmmaker. I make no secret about that. You've heard that before. But I mean, I didn't want to do a stage version of the film. I wanted to go back to the original book. It's a very short book. It's a novella. It's not really even really a novel. But the only reason anyone would ever want to do A Clockwork Orange is because of the language. The language is so beautiful. I mean, there was me, that is Alex, and my three droogs, that is Pete, Georgie, and Dim. I mean, wow, just the cadence of it, the beauty of it. So I did my own adaptation. This theater company in Los Angeles wanted to be put on the map, and they thought I might be able to do it because I had done some controversial productions in the past. And I thought, I think that this is a doable thing. Let's do A Clockwork Orange. So they said, yes. But then, as it turned out, Anthony Burgess had gotten to the point the book's author, where he no longer liked the book he had written, and he had grown to detest the film. So he did this sort of like watered down play that he could send out to people who wanted to do a play of the book, and it was it was very, very soft. Let's put it that way. I'm just going to be diplomatic here. It was very soft. And what I had written was very hard, okay? Much harder than the movie. And so we had a meeting. We said, well, what are we going to do? And I said, let's do it. What can he do? Well, the answer is he can sue me. So the Anthony Burgess estate threatened a lawsuit based on the reviews the play had gotten, which, by the way, were wonderful reviews. Wonderful reviews that talked about how hard the production was and how uncompromising. So anyway, the production only, it ran 6 weeks or whatever it ran, and then it was over and no lawsuit happened. But that now, after all these years, the Anthony Burgess estate, it's, what is it? AnthonyBurgess.org, the International Anthony Burgess Foundation, has done an overview, an archive of productions of A Clockwork Orange from around the world. And from Belgium, Liverpool, everywhere you can imagine. And mine is one of 3 American productions represented there. New York, the Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago, I know you know them, and mine in Los Angeles.
Wow,
and apparently all is forgiven.
Well, I don't know. So I've been thinking it may be this thing. It's like pre-COVID and post-COVID. So people start to think about things differently now after COVID. Like, wait a minute. Hey, we might want to rethink how we did business in the past, which is a good thing, right? Why don't we as a society use this time that has shaken our foundation, so to speak, as a time of reevaluation and consideration, not only consideration, implementation and action steps to create our future, right? With that being said, I think about the arts community, how, we hear about digital artwork now, artwork being controlled by digital currency, what's real, what's fake, who's really in the marketplace, who isn't, how do you get representation, what really is representation and success. You've been around Trenton for a while. You've connected to the art scene here. You know the filmmakers that are here. You've worked with some of the filmmakers that are here. You know what's happening in the performing arts scene, the stage scene. Why don't we have an arts marketplace? And is that something that a community can build?
A lot of towns the size of Trenton ask themselves the same question that you're asking of me. And a lot of cities just don't trust their own model. They don't trust their own creative construct, their community of artists. They look to other cities for their models. They look to New York for their model. They look to Philadelphia for their model. They look to Georgia for their model. They look to Los Angeles for their model. Seattle. Well, look where you are. Look where you're standing. We have I grew up in Princeton. I made a movie called I Grew Up in Princeton. Princeton has a great arts community, and they're proud of it. Trenton has to be the same way. And listen, for the most part, I think that the artists in Trenton do feel that way. I do, Jeff, our friend, our mutual friend, he's a man who is very proud to be a Trentonian. He's very proud of the scene here. And he was very articulate in the film I made. But it's a matter of taking pride, taking account of where you're standing and what you're creating, and saying, this is a unique town. We have a unique product. We have a unique point of view. And I think one of the big strikes against Trenton is there's no tax base. It's the same old story. But my God, the arts community here is ferociously dedicated. I mean, my God, that woman at our meeting, that thing that we filmed. I forgot her name, the blonde woman.
Yeah, Caitlin Fair, and also a shout out to Jeff Stewart, who you alluded to before. Let's think about. I'm putting this out there publicly, and I've been talking to people in the scene for a while about the need of it. And this is out to you and all the other artists and whoever else who sees this. Let's create a scene. They did it in Seattle, included the music and all kinds of things. And I think that we have the capacity to do it here as well. I know there's been buzz about people wanting to bring a brewery here and stuff like that. Half these people probably don't even drink beer. So what I'm saying is look, if you're thinking about doing any projects of that magnitude, hit me up and at least try to find out what's going on from the culture, at least the culture that I'm connected to. And that'll be a start for you. And then you can realize that, hey, maybe we don't need a winery to attempt to open up in Trenton. Maybe we need something else.
Brad, the winery should come after,
Yeah, exactly. Let's get this stuff set up. Let's get some momentum. But at the very least, let's try to go ahead and promote this into a space where it is a scene and it's not something that it's politically driven, because I think that is a detriment to really what a scene is because you got politicians that talk about an arts community, but they don't buy art or don't attend art events or call, hey, I listen to the radio and make my $25 donation to a radio station outside of the city. I don't know if you really want to consider yourself a patron, but I want to make sure that we get something else covered that you're into. And this is about your play. Now, a lot of folks know that you are a filmmaker, but you've been a filmmaker for a long time, but you write. And as a writer as well, you get the option to write for different things. It's just whatever you're bringing out. So let's talk about this new thing you got coming that I'm learning about.
It's my first play. I did an adaptation of A Clockwork Orange, but that's not my material. All right. This is an original play. All right. Now, I'm going to sound a real jerk when I say this, but hey, I don't care. I'm 65 years old. It's kind of a sequel to Hamlet. It's a 2-act play, and it follows the characters of Horatio, Fortinbras, and Osric, who were all in the play Hamlet. They were featured characters, and this play picks up 4 years after the fact. So now it's 4 years after the mass murder at the court at Denmark. Fortinbras has taken over Denmark, and he's held Horatio under house arrest for the last 4 years. Now, where it gets interesting, I did some research, and I was really surprised to find out that when Horatio and Hamlet studied in Wittenberg in Germany, Martin Luther was there, and Dr. John Faustus were there. And I thought, what if Horatio goes back to Wittenberg, where he got his degrees, and rejoined with his old friends? Meanwhile, Osric is up to some serious bad behavior. And all these things kind of snap together. And it's now up to Horatio and Dr. Faustus and Martin Luther to get together to put things right. It's a lot of fun. So it's I think it's pretty well written. I found out that I had some facility for formal language. It's not written in iambic pentameter, but it's fun. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's like, go get him, go get him. So actually, the play is being looked at by UCLA, the drama department of UCLA, and there is discussion about, well, the intention of the talk there is to have a staged reading completely supported by their theater department, and then possibly moving on to a full production. I started writing this play in August, so and it's my first play. So I don't know. It's cool.
Maybe it's something totally new for you, another spot.
Yeah, I mean, I directed a lot of theater, a lot. Never directed a play. I mean, never wrote a play until now. So
all right, fantastic. But Brad, you know how it is, man. Time goes. You gotta Got to go with the time, right?
That's exactly
So
right.
it's been a pleasure, folks. I encourage you to check out Brad over at bradmays.com, bradmays.com. Follow him on social media platforms. He'll be back. This is like something that we do. And, as the two Trentons film gets a chance to go to different film festivals when things open up, you'll definitely be hearing more about that as well, because me, Brad, and others, we're going to try to get us together to start showing some representation as Trenton is represented around the world. Again, filmmaker Brad Mays, thank you for your time, sir.
Keep me in the loop, brother.
I will.
All
Folks, you've been listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. It's all about building a better community for everyone. So you can see that I'm rocking an Anokin Fitness, which is Nacone spelled backwards, Nacone Martin spelled backwards. And I'm rocking this in support of her and to encourage you to check out Anokin Fitness and the things that this wonderfully talented entrepreneur is doing in the realms of something new. Not only is she an entrepreneur and actor, and you've seen her on screen and also in film and on stage, but you are now getting a chance to see her on stage as a fitness competitor. So make sure you check her out at Anokin Fitness, and make sure you follow my efforts with Black Cannabis 365, where I talk to people who are making scenes and making things happen in the cannabis industry. And that's at the website black-cannabis.com. Jacque Howard here. Make sure you check out all my efforts and connect with any of my partners, because I am recommending them. And that is at my website, my first name-last name.com, jacque-howard.com. Big shout out to WIMG 1300 and WPHY. And until we meet again, folks, it's always about justice, peace, and humility.